What's going on, my friend? It's Jeff Newport from ChasingStrength.com. And in today's video, we are answering the question, how do you know when to move up a kettlebell size? We're also going to answer the question, how do you know when you're ready for the next kettlebell exercise, the advanced ones? All right. Now, the reason we're bringing this up in this video is because these were some questions I've had recently in my emails. Right. If you have a question, feel free to email me support@ChasingStrength.com. All right, so let's dive into this topic. So here's some ideas I have for you. Number one, we're going to address moving up a kettlebell size. All right, now typically I like to use a 10 by 5 as a test. So 10 by 5 is 10 sets of 5 repetitions in a 20-minute time frame. And that's how I know when a client or myself actually owns a kettlebell, especially for a combo lift like the clean and press. Right? Combo lift, in case you don't know, is 2 lifts in one. So a clean and a press. Okay. I'll also use the 10 by 5 for other straight up grinds, kettlebell grinds, right? Which are the slow strength lifts. So the front squat, for example. All right. So how and when would I use this? Another example would be moving from a pair of 24 kilos in the clean and press to a pair of 28 kilos in the clean and press. Okay. Again, use it for grinds. So you can also use it for presses. Okay. Now, in case you're wondering, that's approximately one set of 5 reps every 2 minutes. Okay. Now, if a set of 5 reps takes you 30 seconds, you're going to rest approximately 90 seconds. Okay. For those of you who like specific delineated rest periods. Okay. So, what do we do? Like if we don't make the 10 by 5 in 20 minutes? Well, we just keep using that weight until we do. Okay. Now, what about ballistic exercises like the swing? Well, I think the time-tested 10 sets of 10 reps in 15 minutes as a baseline is a great benchmark for everybody to use. And then what you can do is you can whittle that down to 10 minutes. And then if you need some more of a challenge, right, you whittle that down into 5 minutes, okay? And I believe that is actually part of the simple standard. You do that 10 sets of 10, one hand swings, 100 swings in 5 minutes or less, I believe. And the sinister standard, I believe, is 48 kilos for the same. Okay. Again, pretty hard to do. All right. Now, why do we do that? Well, because it just ensures that you own the weight. And that's because 100 reps of anything, especially in 5 minutes, like a 5-minute snatch test, that is no joke. Okay. Your technique has to be dialed in. All right. So what do you do if you need some programming ideas? Well, I'll leave a link to one of my programs called Swing Hard in the video description below. And in fact, it's not actually one program. So it's more accurate to say it's a product because there are 10 different programs in there. And each program is at least 8 weeks long. All right. And you can use it for the 2-hand swing and the 1-hand swing. All right. So what about moving to a more advanced exercise? Okay. Here's idea number 2 for you. So what do you do, for example, if you want to move from the 2-hand swing to the 1-hand swing? Well, again, it's the old 10 by 10 in 15 minutes or less with a 24 kilo for men and a 16 kilo for women. All right. What about an exercise that's more advanced, like the snatch? Okay, well, this is a little different. All right. And this, I recommend some benchmarks. You put some benchmarks in here for yourself. Okay. Make sure that you feel super comfortable with these 2 exercises. And that, again, is a 1-hand swing. 24 kilos, 10 sets of 10. All right. Use that 15-minute, 10-minute time frame. And the Turkish get up, 24 kilos for 10 sets of 1 on each side. Okay. 20 minutes or less. Okay. And then the final exercise that we want to use is a single kettlebell clean and press. 24 sets. 24 sets, man, that's a lot of sets. Not quite that many sets. Okay. 24 kilo, 10 sets of 5 on each side. Okay. Now, when you combine those and you stack those lifts one upon the other, all right, each technique is based on the previous technique, and the swing and the Turkish get up technique combine to help prepare you for the clean and press technique. Okay. When you have those numbers in place, those are your benchmarks, you have a nice, strong base for your kettlebell snatch. Okay. And it will make it feel pretty darn easy, and you will be free from any fear of injury. All right. Now, there's always a caveat, and then here's the caveat. If, like myself, you have a strong background in the Olympic lifts, then feel free to jump into the snatch right away, okay? The kettlebell snatch, okay, as opposed to the barbell snatch, all right? Now, here's another question I got, which was, hey, what are the standards for the goblet squat? How do you know when to move up in the goblet squat, both in, sets and reps, and when to progress to more advanced exercises, okay? So first, again, some benchmarks. What I like to do is see somebody hit 5 sets of 10 with the 5 sets of 10 reps. Okay. 5 sets of 10 reps with a 24 kilo for the goblet squat. Again, women, 16 kilo. All right. Make sure that feels easy. It's not a grind. It's not killing you. You're not lying on the floor exhausted afterwards. Right. And then move on to a single kettlebell front squat before moving on to the double kettlebell front squat. Now, you might be wondering, well, why is that? Very simple, one word explanation or one word answer: asymmetries. Okay. And those are side to side differences in muscle function, right? And muscle output. Okay. And joint function, joint output, that sort of thing. Flexibility, mobility. All right. Pick the words you want to use. Now, here's why we do that. You will notice very quickly when you do the single kettlebell front squat that more likely than not, one side feels easier than the other, especially when you get tired, especially when that fatigue sets in. And it's very common for the kettlebell to peel its way out of the rack. In other words, you're standing up and you're fighting to stand up, and that kettlebell will just dump out either kind of at a 45-degree angle forwards to the front or out to the side. Okay. If you don't get this, it's going to be a ride on the struggle bus, right? Every time you front squat, right? Especially with a pair of doubles. Because what will happen is you'll start coming up asymmetrically like this, get a little bit of wiggle, one will dump out, right? And then you've got some shimmy going on in your hips. It's a great way to hurt your hips, maybe your lower back and spine. Okay. So make sure that both sides feel symmetrical. All right. So again, 5 sets, 10 reps each side. And yes, you are right. If my math is correct and your math is correct, that's 100 total reps. It's a lot of squatting. But the beautiful thing is the weight is not that heavy. It's 53 pounds. Come on, guys, 53 pounds, not that much. And also remember, your legs are your foundation. Okay. So that's the squat. Now, what about programming, right? If you want to program the clean and press, for example, well, I recommend you use the Giant or the Giant X. What if you want to program the snatch? I recommend the King Size Killer. What if you want to put all of it into one bundle, right? Like, how do you do that? How do you get front squats, goblet squats in there, cleans, presses, snatches? Well, and more kettlebell exercises, I recommend you use Kettlebell Burn 2.0 or Kettlebell Burn Reloaded. I will leave links for those programs also in the video description below. All right. So lastly, how do you move on to the double lifts? Well, once you hit the benchmarks in the previous 2 sections, you're physically ready to move to the double kettlebell lifts. But how much weight do you start with? Well, I recommend a combined total of 33% thereabouts of your previous singles training load. So what does that look like for math impaired people like me? Well, let's say you've hit all the benchmarks with a 24 kilo. Start your doubles experience with a pair of 16s, right? Or a total, right, of 32 kilos. Okay. That's approximately 8 kilos more than the 24 kilos. It's not approximately, it is exactly 8 kilos more. Okay. Or 33% more than that 24 kilo. Now, key point here, do not rush this load. Make it feel easy. Take your time, learn the double kettlebell exercise techniques, which play by slightly different rules than the singles. And that's primarily because of the shorter stroke, the distance of the backswing, okay, to whatever point you're trying to get it to, whether it's out in front for the swing, in the rack for the clean and press, or over the head for the snatch, okay? All right, so what else? Well, I recommend using a concept called technique stacking, and that's where you build one technique on the previous technique. Okay, so it's almost like climbing a ladder. All right, I developed a process conveniently called technique stacking. You can find it in Kettlebell Strong, all right, which is a course on learning the double kettlebell techniques. I'll leave a link for that in the video description below. And again, you are going to need to do benchmarks, right? If you want to see the strong enough benchmarks, 32s, 10 sets of 5 in 20 minutes for clean and press, 10 sets of 5, 32s in 20 minutes or less for the double kettlebell front squat, and a 10 by 10 in 20 minutes with a 32 on the snatch. Okay. Now, once you have nailed down your techniques on all the exercises, all the double kettlebell exercises, like the clean, the press, the front squat, push press, high pull, snatch, jerk, so on, so forth, then you go get your first 10 by 5 on those exercises. Okay. Then you'll be ready for more metabolically demanding and more physically challenging, more emotionally, psychologically challenging programs like complexes and chains, double kettlebell complexes and double kettlebell chains. Okay. If those types of things appeal to you, okay, that's what I call level 5 programming. We can put a link to the 5-level kettlebell pyramid, right? That I put out, I don't know, man, it's like a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago now. We'll put a link to that video somewhere here on this video or maybe in the description below. Okay. But if you like the concept of doing those really hard level 5 programs, right? The complexes and chains, I'll leave a link to a program called, coincidentally or not coincidentally, Kettlebell Hard, right, in the video description below. Okay. So hopefully you found these benchmarks helpful. Okay. Now you know how to move one kettlebell size to the next and one kettlebell exercise to the next in an advanced and logical progression. Okay. And you have loads for that. Okay. So again, these work. I've been using them for, good grief, probably 20 years or so, roughly, both with myself and with clients. Okay. And they have never failed to deliver. So test them out, see how you get on with it, and let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a comment in the video description or in the comment section, not description, below this video. Okay. So if you found this video helpful, click the like button, smash the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. Share it with a friend you know uses kettlebells and wants to know the answers to these questions, and leave me your thoughts in the comment section below this video. Okay. Until next time, my friend, stay strong.